Denver defends a health inspector seen on camera putting bleach in an unlicensed street vendor's food. City says this guy's been bouncing county to county, serving unsafe food, trying to stay ahead of the law.
We understand that seeing this video out of context can be upsetting.
Questions about Denver's new street outreach teams. Who's being helped and hurt?
Their job is not to enforce the camping ban. Their job is to get people that are staying outside connected to services.
Tracking a small airline from Colorado making money off President Trump's mass deportations. And History Colorado has found a way to open up its museum to Coloradans who otherwise might have been on the outside. That's tonight on Next. Denver is defending the actions of its public health inspectors after online backlash from this now viral video showing inspectors pouring bleach into an unlicensed street vendor's food. The city says it was a last resort and within its policies to shut down this vendor after it had evaded consequences by moving city to city.
Just seeing a snippet of a video without that context can be upsetting.
The now viral video shows a Denver health inspector pouring bleach into a street vendor's food so it couldn't be sold. The city admits it's an extreme step because of what the city calls an extreme situation. A food vendor operating without a license, ignoring multiple cease and desist orders, and trying to stay ahead of the law by hiding unsafe food and moving place to place. Saturday, Taco to Colorado was set up at Colorado and Evans. Inspectors found 9 violations, including a trash can full of dirty water serving as a sink, meat kept at 54 and 82 degrees instead of the 135 degrees required to avoid spoiling, and raw meat kept in cardboard boxes on a table instead of in a refrigerator. Inspectors said the taco stand's employees grabbed the meat and locked it in a truck where it couldn't be disposed of. So inspectors used bleach on the rest of the food.
What we've seen with this particular vendor is that they're moving to different locations on a daily basis, and when they're found in one violation by the local health department, they're moving to another location. So for that reason, we did feel it was important to have that intervention to prevent that food from traveling elsewhere and being served to people in another county.
We spoke with a man named Isidro Garcia Barrientos, who identified himself to us as the food stand's owner. He admitted that they do not have permits. He said the city had not notified him of the repeated cease and desist orders, but the city provided us with copies of the citations that they sent by mail and email. El Paso County and Jefferson County also say this same vendor has been operating there without a license. And the Adams County Health Department and Aurora Code Enforcement Division are also investigating. The city of Denver is considering a community ambassador program that would handle everything from assisting the homeless to giving people directions around downtown, that way to the ballpark. Our Mark Salinger looks at city council's concerns.
Denver's approach to solving homelessness has changed many times over the past couple of years. Now it's changing again.
We've moved into a new place where we're not necessarily dealing with large encampments, but we're dealing with ones and twos here and there, people that are dealing with behavioral health challenges that need additional support.
So Denver will spend around $11 million over the next 3 years to hire outreach teams and community ambassadors. It's an effort to try and reach the people still living on the streets who haven't gone to city-run hotel shelters. Cole Chandler is the senior advisor to the mayor on homelessness.
So anytime a resident sees someone that's outdoors that needs services, that 311 call will relate to a street outreach team going out to check in on that person, provide them access to services, help them get connected to shelter and behavioral health services.
The ambassadors and outreach teams will work on everything from helping people find shelter and housing to graffiti removal and hospitality inquiries. That's where city councilors have questions.
But it feels like the community ambassadors are both working with those that are unsheltered as well as those that just might need directions to a baseball game.
It doesn't seem quite right to use homelessness resolution funds there, I would say.
Those seem like 2 different jobs to me.
Council voted 4-2 to pass it and send it to a full vote. One of the organizations that will run the program is Urban Alchemy, which is also taking over running some of the city's hotel homeless shelters. The group runs a similar community response team in San Francisco. Headlines from California show Urban Alchemy faces multiple lawsuits there over sexual harassments and unpaid overtime, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. Teams there were dispatched to the streets wearing Army-style camouflage. Chandler says that won't happen here.
We're familiar with some of the headlines and challenges that we've seen in other communities, but we've developed our own relationships with the leadership over the last couple of years and are really excited to bring them here.
Specifically said, no army fatigues here. Urban Alchemy hires people who are formerly homeless or have experience with mental health issues. While that's been raised as a potential problem with reports out of California, the city of Denver says that's actually a strength that they're looking forward to having with employees having lived experiences with challenges that they're helping to solve, Kyle.
I feel like a year or two ago there was a big splash because the mayor was putting people in these like orange or yellow fuzzy vests downtown. They were supposed to be the ambassadors.
So that's what I was questioning. There's a lot of ambassador programs, the yellow vest being one. Then you look at other things like Star Response, obviously very different with 911 calls getting dispatched there as well. And the street enforcement team, another one that kind of helps people navigate where they are allowed to camp and where they're not allowed to camp. They say that these ambassadors are more narrowly focused on the homelessness issue, but you could tell their city council members have kind of some questions that still need to be answered.
At some point, downtown Denver becomes like one of those really annoying stores where every time you turn around, an employee's like, how can I help you? What do you need? What do you need? I just want to walk around. I just want to look around. Can I just look around?
A lot of people being paid to help, I guess.
All right. Mark Salinger, thank you. It is no exaggeration to say that Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's most impactful accomplishment in 5 years in Congress is the forcing of the release of the Epstein files. The House voted nearly unanimously today to do it, with fellow Republicans like Colorado's Gabe Evans taking credit for the transparency. But it was Boebert, not Evans, who stood nearly alone in her party in defying Republican leadership and President Trump to force this vote. The bill gives the Trump administration 30 days to release the case files on the infamous pedophile and political power player Jeffrey Epstein. The bill allows the Justice Department to redact identifying information about Epstein's victims, as well as information tied to ongoing investigations. Republican House leadership and President Trump had tried to block the release of the files, claiming they're a Democrat hoax, just trying to tie Trump to Epstein based on their years of personal friendship. Republican Rep. Thomas Massie of Kentucky is a sponsor of the bill, and today he gave credit to a small group of House Republicans, including Lauren Boebert, for joining Democrats to force a vote on this bill, despite the pressure from Trump and other powerful Republicans.
Let me tell you who I'm thankful to. These three brave women, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, they have been threatened. They have been intimidated. Physically, politically, it's disgusting. And not by the far left. They have been intimidated by people in our own party.
President Trump just dropped his longtime opposition to the release of the Epstein files when it became clear that this vote was going to happen and it was going to pass. Today, Boebert echoed Trump's current claim that he did not know about Epstein's child sex crimes, referencing when Trump cut ties with Epstein for recruiting young women away from Mar-a-Lago.
President Trump has been on the right side of this all along. For Democrats who try to pair President Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, I think they're going to continue to be proven wrong. He is the man who some suspect was a whistleblower against Jeffrey Epstein. He also kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago once he learned what he was involved in.
The Senate passed this bill by unanimous consent shortly after the House approved it. President Trump has indicated he will sign it. The administration's mass deportation plan is also a business opportunity for some companies in Colorado. A human rights advocacy group has been tracking the flights of Key Lime Air, a small airline based out of Centennial, tracking flights operated for ICE, moving detainees around the country. Our Angeline McCall has that.
At the Centennial Airport, immigration advocates have concerns about flight data that ties an airline to ICE deportation flights.
Anger and sadness.
Dana Miller co-leads Denver's immigrant partnership team and first learned a few weeks ago about Key Lime Air's flight history.
So the sadness came from knowing that Key Lime is contributing and basically complicit with that whole detention system, which is inhumane and cruel.
According to the group Human Rights First monitoring ICE flights, Key Lime operated 83 flights with detainees in the month of September alone.
I care very deeply about our immigrant neighbors. And the whole deportation system, the whole deportation industrial system has a lot of corporations and companies that are complicit with that. They're making money off of this.
Key Lime, in a statement, declined to confirm or discuss their charter operations, and we don't know if any of those 80-plus ICE flights have taken off from the Denver area. What we do know is that ICE would typically transfer someone in detention here in Colorado first to a state like Louisiana or Texas, then deport them from there. Advocates hope their message might mean people over profit, and in this case, a mass deportation plan.
And if we are going to really resist the administration right now, we need corporations to say no.
According to Human Rights First, the data shows that Key Lime started doing these flights a little over 2 months ago. Important to note, ICE not only uses charter flights, but they can also work with much larger commercial airlines to just get one seat for a detainee to, say, a country they won't deport to frequently, and then they'll have escorts on that plane as well for that person. Kyle?
So, I mean, Key Lime's going to have all kinds of other business, and anytime a business gets caught up in political business, sometimes that can get tricky.
Right, exactly. And there's a little pushback right now as well because Key Lime does have a contract with CU. They use Key Lime in this case to essentially for athletic teams. And so that has been longstanding since 2011. And they have a current contract in place until 2028 or 2029. We'll double check the correct date for you. But yeah, for several years to come.
All right, something to keep an eye on to see if that percolates into an issue for CU. Angeline McCall, thank you. Colorado's Independent Ethics Commission is moving forward with an investigation into whether a dark money group illegally paid for a trip to Vail for more than a dozen Democrats from the state legislature so they could get cozy with lobbyists. Credit to the Colorado Sun for breaking this story that the dark money group One Main Street, Colorado offered to spend $25,000 on a block of hotel rooms for 17 House and Senate Dems so that they could go to a retreat with people who try to influence government. One Main Street doesn't disclose its donors, hence dark money. Neither One Main Street nor these Democrats have confirmed who actually paid for the trip. But the trip would be well above and beyond the $75 limit on gifts that legislators are allowed to accept under state law. If the Ethics Committee finds that the legislators violated the law, they could face really serious fines. Colorado's Democratic Party said today that the legislators have taken good faith steps to address the complaint by making a donation to the Food Bank of the Rockies. That's lovely. Maybe we could just investigate and find out if the Democrats violated the law. Colorado's congressional delegation is united in asking the federal government to foot the bill for catastrophic flooding last month.
We want to provide as much equity and access as we can for all Coloradans.
History Colorado is making its museums more accessible for the deaf community. Just pick up your phone. That's next. President Trump has said that he wants states to take care of more of their own disasters. Right now, every member of Colorado's congressional delegation, Republicans and Democrats, are asking the president to make an exception for the horrible flooding in southern Colorado this year. They want the president to declare a major disaster declaration for extreme flooding last month. It would allow Colorado to recover a majority of the damage costs from federal taxpayers. Governor Jared Polis, Democrats, already made a formal request for that federal aid. The state hasn't been denied federal disaster aid since Trump's first term in 2018, but the president has been pushing to reform FEMA and has already denied a couple of requests from other states this year. The governor and the congressional delegation also have an outstanding request for federal aid for the Lee and Elk fires that burned in far northwest Colorado back in August. At this point, the president has not responded. Meteorologist Chris Bianchi, Colorado's longest dry streak this year was the Rockies' 22 consecutive series losses, but meteorologically speaking, we're in it now.
A good link there. I didn't realize that the Rockies had a 22 consecutive. Ooh, that's not good, is it? Hey, you know what? Evens out for all the success we're having with the Broncos, Avs, and Nuggets right now, right? But 22 straight days without measurable rain or snow. Only one day in the last 38 days that we've had rain or snow for us here in the Denver area. Folks, that's a really long streak, our longest so far this year. Now, nowhere close to the record. Record's 52 days, but still gives us an idea that we need the moisture. But the good news is it's just around the corner. This will arrive for Thursday night and Friday morning. Meantime, tomorrow, clouds will increase, especially for us in the mountains as we head through the day. An isolated rain or snow shower for us tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening in the high country and the western slope. But then on Thursday, Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. We'll see that rain and snow spread on in from the south and the west. It'll be heavy at times for us here in the mountains. I will say this, the computer models still struggling with this storm system. This is a cutoff low. These sorts of little wobbles within the storm system will mean the big differences for us. But rainfall amounts, heaviest for us along and east of I-25, quarter or half inch possible, and heaviest totals for us here in the mountains, where we could be talking about, in some cases, 4 to 8 inches plus of snow for us across our southern passes, 2 to 6 inches along and north of I-70. 7-day forecast. Potential weather impact alert for Friday because of the possibility for a little bit of snow for us Friday morning, better chance south and west of Denver, and then we dry out and warm up for us this weekend.
The deaf and hard of hearing community has new access to Colorado history at the push of a button. You have access to this fine local news program at the push of a button as well. Catch Next streaming each weeknight, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus, or push a different button in a different place and get Next as a podcast wherever you get those. Anywhere you find us, just pushing buttons. Technology is often thought of as connecting us to the future. Our Amy Hunter stopped by History Colorado to see how it's connecting us to the past.
I wanted to show you, this is one of the first maps that was made in the United States.
There's always something new to learn at a museum.
Wow, what year were those made?
Good question.
For people like Luke Adams, who may be deaf or hard of hearing, some of that knowledge can get lost without translation.
We tried to get an interpreter today, and we weren't able to get one. So it's nice to have IRA ASL on demand in a pinch.
Rather than rely on unreliable in-person services, the state of Colorado partnered with IRA ASL to help provide a museum experience that doesn't limit its visitors.
Does he kind of look like you?
Oh. Karen Pellegrin, who works with the Governor's Office of Information Technology, says the partnership is part of a pilot program available at History Colorado museums and sites.
We already have an app for blind and low vision users, and we had this new opportunity to expand to ASL. We want to provide as much equity and access as we can.
Visitors can be connected with a free interpreter through the app.
Wow, I've learned something new today. This is fascinating.
As the Director of Communications and Marketing for History Colorado, Jeannie McFarland Johnson knows how beneficial a tool like this can be.
These apps help invite more folks to feel comfortable and to know that they are welcome here.
It's a way to break down barriers and offer connection for those with differing abilities.
Wow, fascinating to see the history and how this evolved.
For Next, I'm Amy Hunter.
History Colorado tells us this is a limited run pilot program. They'll decide whether to continue it based on users' feedback. Same app is also being used currently at the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. I continue my labor and employment with your feedback. Thank you, Marilyn. Next. Feedback on that City of Denver health inspector pouring bleach into an unlicensed street vendor's food. Richard writes in on X, formerly Twitter, I spent 25 plus years in the food industry. I support the health department 100%. If people only knew how sick food could make them. Nick, also on X, says, thanks for the reporting on this. There was a lot of outrage initially, and your story presented why the inspector took the drastic actions, right? At the end of the day, you can decide whether those actions were warranted, but you do need to have the context, right? And just that 15-second video clip that's on TikTok and everywhere, that ain't it. See you next time.